Y'all better sit down for this one, because what I'm about to drop makes every past hip-hop scandal look like child's play. Imagine this: Drake, the self-proclaimed Sixth God, caught slipping in the studio, not with some random collaborator, not with some ghostwriter nobody cares about, but with Cardi B herself. Yeah, the same Cardi B who just went public about her new romance. The same Cardi B who supposedly cut ties with Offset for good. So what exactly were they doing alone in that soundproof booth at 3 a.m.? Recording music or recording betrayal? Fans are already piecing the puzzle together: cryptic bars, flirty glances, and a leaked behind-the-scenes clip where Drake's hand just lingers a little too long on Cardi's shoulder. And Offset? Word on the street is he's not laughing. Sources close to him claim he stormed out of a private party the moment he heard whispers about Cardi and Drake cooking something more than tracks. So now the million-dollar question is staring us all in the face. Was this just business as usual, or the spark of hip-hop's messiest love triangle yet? Stick around, because the receipts, the whispers, and the fury behind the scenes will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. The studio is supposed to be sacred. It's the one place where artists go to create, to bleed their stories into microphones to build the next anthem that shakes the culture. But sometimes, the studio isn't just about beats and bars. It becomes the scene of scandals, whispers, and betrayals too messy to keep behind soundproof walls. That's exactly where this storm begins. Because according to leaks, rumors, and the loudest whispers floating through hip-hop, Drake and Cardi B weren't just cooking music when the doors closed. They were cooking something hotter, something so explosive that Offset himself is allegedly seeing red. Picture this: 3 a.m. in Toronto. The booth lights are low, engineers step out for a smoke, and the cameras are conveniently turned away. On one side of the glass, Cardi B, in full diva mode, laying down vocals. On the other side, Drake, pacing with that signature smirk, whispering lines, coaching her like he's not just a collaborator, but something more. At first, it's business. But then there's a touch on the shoulder, a laugh that lasts too long, a moment that looks innocent until you watch it again. And that's exactly what fans did when the behind-the-scenes clip leaked online. It wasn't just fans either. Insiders swear that Offset's team saw the same clip and lost it. According to one anonymous source, Offset confronted Cardi behind closed doors, demanding answers. She brushed it off as industry talk, but insiders say his fury wasn't just jealousy, it was betrayal. Because this isn't just some random guy she's rumored with. This is Drake, the same Drake Offset has thrown shade at in tracks. The same Drake who always seems to slide into messy triangles, just when things are already complicated. And let's not pretend this is the first time. Drake's name has been tied to someone else's woman. His history is littered with whispers. From Rihanna to Jennifer Lopez, from industry flings to quiet side pieces. Drake has built an entire reputation, not just as the king of charts, but as the guy who can't stay away from complicated situations. Add Cardi B to that list, and suddenly the rumor doesn't feel so far-fetched. Suddenly, it feels like the most predictable scandal in hip-hop history. But what makes this story volcanic isn't just the possibility of Cardi and Drake being too close in the studio. It's the timing. Cardi just went public about her fresh romance with NFL star Stefon Diggs, her supposed clean break from Offset. Fans were already reeling from that twist, but now, with Drake's name thrown into the fire, the narrative looks uglier. Was she really moving on to an athlete? Or was that just a cover while she entertained late-night sessions with the Sixth God? And if Offset knew, is that why he's allegedly furious behind the scenes? Receipts started surfacing fast. One blog posted what looked like leaked studio schedules, showing Cardi booked for an unlisted collab on the same night Drake was confirmed in the building. Another anonymous account claimed to have seen them leaving together in the same SUV. laughing like teenagers sneaking out of detention. Grainy photos, blurry angles, nothing concrete, but enough to fuel a scandal that doesn't need hard proof to set the internet on fire. Because when it comes to Drake and Cardi, fans don't want facts, they want drama. The reaction online was instant chaos. Twitter threads broke down the clip frame by frame, pointing out how Drake's hand brushed Cardi's arm a little too slowly, how her laugh carried more than just friendship. TikTok detectives matched Cardi's nails in the video to photos she posted the same day, proving the timing. Instagram blogs plastered the footage across their feeds, captions screaming about betrayal, cheating, and Offset's supposed meltdown. Within hours, Drake and Cardi was trending like a brand new single, except this track was pure scandal. Offset's reaction became its own storyline. Rumors swirled that he unfollowed both Drake and Cardi on burner accounts. One insider claimed he skipped a scheduled appearance at a club because he didn't want to hear another Drake song. Another whispered that Offset's team was already planning a diss track, one that would expose everything in coded bars too sharp to miss. Whether any of that was true or not didn't matter. What mattered was the narrative, and the narrative was clear. Offset was furious, and the internet couldn't stop watching. The scandal began to snowball. Old clips of Cardi praising Drake in interviews resurfaced, now viewed with suspicion. A video of Drake nodding a little too hard during a Cardi performance went viral again, fans calling it the look of a man plotting. Even old photos of them together at award shows started circulating, captions implying the chemistry was there all along and the studio session was just the slip-up fans had been waiting for. And in the middle of all this noise, both Drake and Cardi stayed silent. No denials, no clarifications, just silence. Which in scandal terms is the loudest answer possible. Because if it was nothing, why not shut it down immediately? Why not call it fake? Instead, the quiet stretched, and with every hour of no response, the story grew bigger. Fans don't need confirmation when the silence feels like guilt. This isn't just messy, it's dangerous. Cardi B has built her brand on being unapologetically loyal, ride or die, brutally honest. Drake has built his on being untouchable, smooth, the guy everyone loves but no one fully trusts. Offset has built his on being flashy, emotional, sometimes reckless. Throw all three into a triangle, add a leaked clip, and you've got the recipe for hip-hop's next cultural earthquake. And that's exactly where part one ends, on the brink of chaos. With fans demanding answers, Offset allegedly furious, Cardi playing it cool, and Drake smirking in silence. The studio, once a place of creation, now the stage for betrayal. The question isn't just what happened in that booth. It's what happens next when the truth finally spills out. The leaked clip had already set the internet ablaze, but the fallout from that single studio moment became bigger than anyone could have expected. Because this wasn't just about Drake and Cardi B standing too close in the booth. It was about betrayal, blurred lines, and the way fans consume scandal like oxygen. The story didn't just spread, it multiplied, twisted, and evolved. With every retweet, every thread, every comment dissecting what had supposedly gone down. Twitter was the first battlefield. Within hours of the clip dropping, users were zooming into the footage, circling Drake's hand brushing Cardi's shoulder, analyzing her smile frame by frame. One viral tweet declared, "Ain't no way this is just music. Look at that chemistry." Another said, "Offset somewhere punching the air right now." Hashtags like hashtag Drake and CARDI, hashtag Offset Mad, and hashtag Studio Affair started trending worldwide, competing with actual news headlines. TikTok detectives joined the hunt. One user matched Cardi's nail design in the clip to an Instagram photo she posted that same day. Another dug through old Cardi interviews, pulling out moments where she'd praised Drake's artistry, editing them together with slow zooms and dramatic music to imply something deeper. In less than 24 hours, TikTok was drowning in conspiracy. Edits, each one pulling hundreds of thousands of views. Blogs and gossip sites feasted on the drama. Anonymous sources appeared out of nowhere, each one claiming to know the truth. One said they saw Drake and Cardi leaving a Miami studio together around 4 a.m., laughing like teenagers. Another swore Offset had confronted Cardi privately, demanding answers. A third claimed Drake bragged at a private party that the booth wasn't the only thing heated that night. None of it was verifiable, but in the world of scandal, receipts aren't always necessary, just whispers delivered with confidence. And then came the supposed leaked text messages. Screenshots flooded Reddit, showing Cardi texting someone save his champagne poppy, with flirty emojis sprinkled throughout. "Don't let nobody find out," one message read, supposedly from Cardi. "They won't, unless you slip," came the reply. Were they real? Hard to say. But real or not, the screenshots spread like wildfire, convincing fans this was more than just smoke, it was fire. It was fire. Offset's name stayed glued to the scandal, even though he said nothing publicly. Insiders claimed he unfollowed both Drake and Cardi from his burner accounts, screenshots of which began circulating across fan forums. Another rumor insisted he skipped a scheduled performance at a club because he couldn't stand hearing Drake tracks all night. A wild claim even surfaced that Offset was preparing a diss track, loaded with subliminals aimed at both Cardi and Drake, a diss that would make back-to-back sound like a love letter. Whether true or not, the idea of Offset clapping back musically became its own storyline, fueling speculation about a full-blown feud. The memes came next because of course they did. One viral meme showed a picture of Offset with the caption, "Imagine losing your girl to the Six God." Another had Drake's infamous Hotline Bling dance, edited so that Cardi was dancing beside him, both of them smirking. Memes trivialized the pain, turning it into entertainment, but that only amplified the reach. Suddenly, even people who weren't hip-hop fans were aware of the studio affair, because the memes had taken over Instagram and Facebook feeds. And while fans were laughing, others were genuinely furious. Cardi had always branded herself as brutally honest, loyal to her people, transparent about her flaws. To think she could be sneaking around with Drake while playing out her public relationships with Offset and Stefan Diggs felt like the ultimate betrayal to some supporters. One fan tweeted, "We defended her against everybody, and this is what she does?" Another posted, "Drake been slimy but Cardi? She played us like a violin." Drake's reputation, meanwhile, took another hit. Known for weaving in and out of women's lives like a smooth operator, fans weren't shocked, but they were tired. Comments like, "Drake can't keep his hands off anybody's girl, and he's addicted to drama," flooded threads. Some even argued his whole certified lover boy image wasn't just branding. It was a lifestyle that left wreckage everywhere it went. And the conspiracy theories, they only grew darker. Some fans speculated that the studio leak wasn't accidental at all, that it was orchestrated. That either Drake or Cardi wanted it to get out, using scandal as marketing for an upcoming track. Others went further, claiming Offset himself might have planted the leak to expose them and build sympathy for himself. A few even claimed Stefan Diggs, Cardi's supposed new man, was behind the drama, leaking the footage as revenge. Nobody could prove a thing, but the theories made the scandal even stickier. Meanwhile, Cardi's silence was deafening. Her Instagram stayed active with selfies, captions about moving in silence, and vague posts that only fueled the fire. Drake posted snippets of him in the studio working on new music, but carefully avoided showing who he was with. Offset kept his accounts quiet except for random promo posts. To fans, the silence wasn't strategy, it was confirmation. Because if it was fake, why not kill it quickly? Why let it snowball into chaos unless there was some truth hiding in plain sight? The industry insiders couldn't resist chiming in either. A DJ in Atlanta posted a cryptic story saying, "The studio is messy these days." A producer allegedly close to Drake claimed the vibes between Cardi and Drake were undeniably flirty, though he stopped short of confirming anything physical. Even a stylist who once worked with Cardi threw shade on Twitter, writing, "She not who y'all think she is." Each new voice added fuel, and the scandal kept growing. What made it worse was the money trail. Fans noticed Cardi suddenly rocking new designer fits, including pieces she hadn't been seen in before. Some speculated they were gifts from Drake. One blog claimed Cardi had flown on a private jet linked to Drake's circle, though no receipts were ever provided. The whispers about money and perks made it feel less like a fling and more like a full-blown arrangement, one that blurred lines between business and personal. Offset's anger became the most compelling piece of the puzzle. Stories swirled about him confronting Cardi, about him storming out of events, about him even contacting Drake directly. One anonymous source claimed the two had a heated phone call where Offset accused Drake of betrayal, only for Drake to respond with, "It's just business, bro." If true, that single line would go down as one of the coldest in hip-hop scandal history. By now, the scandal wasn't just gossip, it was a cultural event. Music forums debated whether Drake and Cardi were the new power couple or just the ugliest mistake of the year. Fans demanded answers. Offset's name trended alongside Cardi and Drake's, and every hour of silence made the story grow louder. It wasn't just a slip, it was a full collapse of trust in three of the biggest names in the industry. And that's exactly where part 2 leaves us. A leaked clip, alleged texts, furious fans, Offset simmering in silence, Cardi posting cryptic captions, and Drake smirking like he's untouchable. The scandal has consumed the culture, but the real question remains. What happens when the fallout starts touching money, contracts, and reputations too big to brush off? By the time the internet finished dissecting every frame, every whisper, and every blurred screenshot, the scandal had grown too big for even Drake and Cardi B to ignore. This wasn't just an internet trend anymore. This was damage control territory. The kind of fallout that forces meetings in boardrooms, midnight phone calls with lawyers, and frantic PR spin that tries to catch up with a runaway train. The first crack showed in the business world. Endorsements started wobbling. Cardi B had just secured a luxury fashion campaign, but insiders claimed the brand began reconsidering after the rumors exploded. They didn't want their polished image tied to late-night scandals in the studio. Drake, who's practically a walking endorsement magnet, was reportedly asked by one beverage company to clarify his personal image before their deal renewal. That's when you know the scandal isn't just gossip, it's money. And when money starts leaving the room, panic follows fast. Offset's silence became unbearable for his fans. He had built a reputation as someone who wore his emotions loudly, whether in music, on social media, or in messy breakups. So when he didn't clap back immediately, fans knew something was boiling beneath the surface. Rumors suggested he was gearing up for a diss track, not just against Drake, but also laced with subliminals at Cardi herself. Producers whispered that Offset had been in the studio for hours, pouring rage into bars sharp enough to slice reputations apart. Whether or not the track ever dropped didn't matter. The idea that Offset was ready to fight back only amplified the drama. The streets responded too. In Atlanta and New York, where both Cardi and Offset's reputations run deep, the whispers turned into graffiti, memes turned into arguments, and fans chose sides like it was a battle league. Drake's loyalists offended him, painting him as untouchable, the man too powerful to be dragged down by petty drama. Cardi's supporters said she had every right to move how she wanted, that Offset's history of cheating made him the last person to play the victim. Offset's fans, meanwhile, swore he'd been disrespected in the dirtiest way possible. The scandal wasn't just online, it was alive in the streets, splitting communities into factions. Media outlets couldn't resist either. What started on gossip blogs was suddenly being hinted at on mainstream sites. Headlines didn't directly accuse, but they didn't deny either. Are Cardi and Drake more than music? Read one. Another. Teased, Offset caught in studio drama storm. The coverage only legitimized the rumors further, making it impossible for the central players to brush it off as just fan fiction. Once the mainstream touches it, the scandal has officially gone global. The darkest fallout, though, was personal reputation. Cardi had spent years branding herself as brutally honest, the girl who would air out her own mistakes before anyone else could. Fans saw her as ride or die loyal, the woman who survived Offset's infidelities with strength and transparency. But now, the silence and the cryptic posts felt like a betrayal of that image. Her authenticity looked shaky, her loyalty questionable. The grieving queen who once cried on Instagram Live after Von's death now looked like someone who could play roles when it suited her. For Drake, the scandal was almost predictable. His brand has always flirted with controversy, but even for him, this was heavy. The idea that he could be slipping with Cardi B, Offset's wife, mother of his children, one of hip-hop's most high-profile women, was a new low in an already checkered reputation. Fans started calling him the industry's biggest opportunist, the guy who couldn't resist blurring boundaries no matter how messy the consequences. The jokes were endless, but the underlying critique was serious. Was Drake's charm just another word for disrespect? Offset's image, oddly enough, gained sympathy. For once, the man long criticized for cheating and wild behavior was suddenly the victim. Fans who had once mocked him now flooded his comments with support, urging him to keep his head up and clap back harder. His reputation shifted overnight from villain to betrayed husband, a twist nobody saw coming. The scandal had rewritten his narrative in real time, and then came the whispers of legal trouble. Some insiders speculated that if the rumors about financial perks and gifts were true, Cardi might face breach of contract issues with her endorsements. Others whispered that if the footage was leaked intentionally as promo, lawsuits could follow for deception or damages. Whether or not those cases would ever hold weight didn't matter. The fact that lawyers were even mentioned showed how far the fallout had gone. Fans, meanwhile, demanded answers. Comment sections filled with ultimatums. Say it's fake or we're done. If you don't clear this up, we'll believe it's true. The longer Drake and Cardi stayed silent, the louder the backlash grew. And silence in scandal is the one thing you can't afford. Because silence lets the people write your story for you, and once the public writes it, there's no erasing it. And yet, through all of this, Drake smirked. He posted cryptic captions about being unbothered. Cardi uploaded videos of herself dancing, as if nothing was wrong. Offset went ghost, but that ghost loomed larger than life. The triangle became less about what happened and more about what it represented: betrayal, power, and the crumbling illusion of loyalty in an industry already drowning in lies. By now, the scandal wasn't just a rumor, it was history in the making. The kind of cultural moment fans would reference years from now, the way people still talk about infamous beefs and betrayals. Whether true or not almost didn't matter anymore. The narrative was cemented, the damage irreversible. Cardi's authenticity, Drake's charm, Offset's dignity, all reshaped in the court of public opinion. And that's where this story lands. At the edge of a cliff no one can walk back from. Because if it's true, the betrayal is unforgivable. And if it's false, the silence has already made it feel real. Either way, the fallout has already destroyed the image they once controlled. The studio scandal wasn't just a slip, it was an earthquake. And the aftershocks are still shaking everything in its path. And there you have it. The scandal nobody saw coming, but everybody's talking about. A late-night studio session that should have been about beats and bars now flipped into betrayal, whispers, and the biggest question in hip-hop: what really went down between Drake and Cardi B? Was it just business as usual? Or the moment Offset realized loyalty in this game is nothing but smoke and mirrors? Think about it. The clip, The texts, the silence, every piece of this puzzle points to something deeper. Cardi smiling a little. Too hard. Drake brushing shoulders like it was more than music. Offset ghosting the scene while his name trends worldwide. If it's fake, then why not shut it down? If it's real, then we're watching one of the dirtiest triangles in the industry explode in real time. So I'll ask you, do you think Drake and Cardi slipped in the studio? Or is this the internet dragging names into the fire? Is Offset the ultimate victim, or is this all a chessboard move none of us can fully see? Drop your theories in the comments, because this isn't just a story, it's the storm that's rewriting reputations. And if you're tired of the watered-down headlines and want the truth raw, unfiltered, and uncut, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because this is Spillera, where secrets don't stay buried. They explode right in front of your eyes.